Hey guys, give me a second. Hold on. Oh, that's too whiskey. Oh, hi. Let's slide on over. Not too bad of a transition. uh, only reason why we're sliding over, I can't kind of lay the clipboard on top of all that. So we'll just slide on over. I don't think we get. Well, actually, every now and then we do get some new people. So if you don't know, you can guess the grade in the comments. These are going to CGC. Trying to get these compiled and ready. Got a lot of cards to fly in. We're not going to mail in cards this time. So make sure you're guessing the grades along. Now, here's the thing. You guys, I should have mentioned this a while ago once I started making the switch to CGC. You guys should be guessing the grades and CGC standards. I don't have any CGC graded cards returned yet. So I am guessing in PSA standards. So keep that in mind. So first is a Ancient Mew. I'm just gonna pull this out. What's funny is a lot of you, I get quite a lot of comments about people who listen to the videos like on their long drives. And the reason why it's funny to me is because a lot of my videos are also visual in terms of when we do these guess the grade videos. Yeah, so Ancient Mew is always a hard one because you always have a bunch of weird bends because the whole card is hollow foil. And so that hollow foil reacts with heat over time and causes weird bends. I don't think it's off-center. I think it's misaligned. Left to right on the back's pretty strong, and top to bottom is fairly strong. No, okay, maybe it's not misaligned. Maybe it is just off-centered because we're having pretty much the same thing, left to right, top to bottom. But getting this card with like almost no scratches is pretty difficult in itself. So we basically got no scratches. We've got a galaxy swirl going on, which muy bien, adds some value for sure. I usually don't do a swirl tax, but I'm seeing it way more often and more common now, and so many people are paying it. And just a swirl tax alone, like a singular swirl tax, is people are adding somewhere between $5 and $50 depending on the card. And then a galaxy swirl, we're seeing basically galaxy swirl taxes between 100 to 300. And then when you have super omega god swirls, which basically can kind of make the card a population one of one, you're seeing cards go for $10,000 to $20,000, even if they aren't PSA 10s. So we've got some. It's not exactly uplift. It's just kind of back peel. This is very difficult. Ancient Mew is always a very difficult one to grade, which is why a lot of people prefer, who have tried to grade it, prefer to sell it just in its sealed packs or raw. I'll be honest, I would be comfortable saying PSA 8, but I also don't want to undersell it. I do think the card is actually really in good condition, and I think 8 to 9 is a fair guess. It's not a 10, but I do think 8 to 9 is fair. Next up is War Turtle this should be from 151. I'm not 100% familiar with the newer sets. I do apologize. It's definitely a very cool art of War Turtle by any means. It's not perfectly centered, but it is really good centered. I do think I find it funny when people will see a card like this, who I guess are like, I don't know, you want to call them like centering kings, whatever you want to call them, centering Karens, and they're like, oh, it's so off-centered, my eyes can't stand it. Honestly, really not that big of a deal. Just the slightest bit of whitening, just the absolute slightest bit. If it had no whitening, I would say 10. Um, the centering's really not atrocious, and that whitening is super minimal. And I have had personally cards I have gotten 10s like this, but I'll say 9 to 10, and I think that's fair. I think 9 to 10's fair. It's a pretty clean card. Um, I wouldn't straight out say 10. I think 9 to 10 is fair. Hold on, a little bit of continuing the whiskey here. That's some good fucking whiskey. Okay. Um, okay. Rocket's Trap, or sorry, the Rocket's Trap. I don't know if that was like really intentional. Um, in terms of their naming convention for this. Nothing really spectacular with the hollow. Some very minor scratches. We do have actually some fairly strong uplift here, so we're already sitting no less in the 8 category with that. For PSA standards. Oh, and then we've got some grime here. I know that someone will be like, oh, he's doing what? I'd probably just use like a baby wipe or something. I wouldn't use alcohol. I don't recommend that. And see, it's already pretty much gone. It was just some dry smudge. This is unfortunate. If it had just been this, that would be not too bad. But this on the corner with it having a fold in the bend, that kind of does really actually drop it drastically. I personally, like if I was just keeping these cards for myself, I really wouldn't worry about that. My main thing, if you've ever been on the channel, is really actually how clean is the front and how unscratched up is the main picture going on. I really don't care that much about the back personally. I don't care that much about like uplift or corners or little side things, but I know for card grading you have to take that into account. Some minor whitening. I think this would be fair to guess 7, honestly. And these I don't always get right because this variable is really hard. Because I've submitted several cards, and again, still going to CGC, but going with PSA standards. I've submitted several cards like that to PSA, and they can jump drastically. They can go from like a 4 to a 5 to a 6 to a 7. And every now and then I have one like that make it through as an 8. But honestly, the common variable I see for cards that kind of have all that going on, I see yet a 7. So that's what my guess is going to be. Oh, okay. Up next. I really do love textured cards. I'm not good at guessing the grade on them, but I just love how they feel. I think that's really cool. It's a nice addition, making it hard to fake. Okay, so yeah, that shouldn't be any surface missing. That's intentional on how this card was made. So there we go. I was a little bit nervous when I saw that, but now I see it. That's all intentional in terms of how the card was made. Centering looks fine. A little something going on here. It's super minor, but it's enough for me to not say 10. I would say 9 for this. Whitening can be a little bit easily overlooked, but these kind of, I mean, and again, look at how much I have to zoom in, but these kind of nicks are, the camera's freaking out. These kind of nicks are enough to throw you down. I can't handle it. These kind of nicks are enough to really throw you down a grade. So what's fine to me is that these cards, these trainers, these supporters, all of these, there's honestly quite a bit of action going on these cards, and they're so looked down upon compared to just the Pokemon card itself. And I find that hilarious. There's a lot going on in almost every last trainer slash support. Even when you get into vintage and base set, like those items really meant something, and then you later on see them in the show and their purpose and their story and their lore and like how they work in the game and show and everything like that. Finishing up this highball. All right. Up next is a pretty dope Greninja. I put down Cosmos Hollow because I believe that is an identifier for this card. I actually don't remember when I was pre-looking at this card. Oh, for those who don't know, there we go. The dots, Cosmos Hollow. I don't really remember what I was kind of pre-looking at in terms of what this card could get. Centering looks pretty good. I'm seeing something going on with the top, but it's really not enough to really be considered like damage to the card. Now we've got that, so we're already in the 8s, probably lower. Another corner messed up. This would be about a PSA 7. And it's just the whitening for sure would be at an 8, possibly a 9. But with that strong uplift and everything involved, then you're sitting in the 7 category. I think just a flat 7's a good guess. And I would, I like to grade conservatively, because that way when I get a grade that's higher, I'm happier. Guys, if you're doing self-grading and self-submits, you need to be grading conservatively. This Keldeo V, for the longest time when I was getting back into it, I really thought these cards were fake just because of how glossy they are and how smooth they are. And I think a lot of people, including myself, could tell you that like wasn't happy with these cards. Now, honestly, I really appreciate them. One, they get away from the annoying yellow border. The black border is way cleaner. Of course, if they just did no border and did just a true, absolute full art, that would be even better. Back looks super clean. Honestly, could 10. And with CGC, and I know I said I'm guessing PSA, but I do like to try and make an annotation. I think this card could pristine black label. So the way I do that, even though PSA doesn't have it, I'm just going to say 10 plus, just because I also am trying to guess. I'm making my guesses for PSA, but because PSA doesn't have a thing above a 10, I'm also just going to continue in my guess into the CGC black label standard. Great tip for some of y'all. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say it. I'm getting more viewers than I normally would. And honestly, I don't need to be giving out all of my tips because the tips I give you affect how I do things. I'm not super impressed with this Houndoom besides the fact that it has the texture. I think for a lot of Houndoom art, they miss out on maybe what they could capture more. Okay, so centering left to right's not bad. Top to bottom, I would actually agree with a centering Karen. I wouldn't go as far as saying, but there definitely is more on the bottom than there is on the top. The one thing they definitely got right on this card is they did a great job on that red eye. I'm not really a big fan of this whole whatever coloring in the background for Houndoom. It's not what I would have picked. On the back, centering's not as bad. Still off, not as bad as the front though. Man, but it's so clean everywhere else. This is where it gets difficult because I know centering not great, but everything else about the card is pretty much perfect. So 9 to 10. And if it wasn't the centering factor, I would absolutely say 10 and possibly, again, even guess that it would get that whole pristine 10. Okay. And I'm not saying everything that would PSA 10 would pristine 10. I have definitely seen PSA 10s that would not CGC pristine 10. So there is a difference for sure. Mm, left to right looks fine. Top to bottom's a little heavier. Plus, we've got, well, it's like if we got stuff up there, we're gonna have stuff on the back. Yeah, some whitening. Not perfect corners. This isn't the end of the world. These, man, I could see it 8ing and I could see it 9ing. I'll say 8 to 9, but honestly, I'm more on the 9 side with this card. But I'll say 8 to 9, you know, just because I like to have, you know, give myself some leeway. Okay, sent to storage. I used to be opposed to overly overdone cards, and honestly, lately, you know, I'm like, at this point, whatever. Do what you want, slay queen. This one's hard. Centering left to right looks good. Top to bottom's hard because there's just kind of isn't like a borderline. Honestly, though, super clean card. I believe this was a pack pull. Left right on the back is good. And top to bottom looks good. It would definitely PSA 10. I don't know if it was CGC Black Label. So I'm just going to say 10. I would like it to Black Label. I know some of you are cringing because some of you are diehards to where Black Label should only mean BGS Black Label. And I would concur with that. Let me finish this highball. There's not much left. Or you know what? Still 2 more sips. Doing it in just those small sips is perfect. You do it too much, you can't really taste it. It's just fire in your throat. But here's the thing. After what I've experimented with, and I guess I haven't gotten any cards back from CGC yet, but with Beckett, it really does seem like you have to pay for the Black Label. I've got videos on it. Look into it. So why this Browlith is worth grading, almost no matter what the condition is because it's from the Squirtle deck. And so there's this really, there's this small deck of things. I don't know if it's a Charmander deck. I know there's a Squirtle and Bulbasaur deck. There probably is a Charmander deck based on just that information alone. And so if I remember correctly, when I was pre-looking at this card, it wasn't perfect, but it was still in pretty good condition. And again, this Bulbasaur deck, these separate decks are, oh, maybe this one was, it's the slightest. Oh, it's so slight. Oh, honestly, I still think that would even PSA 10. I don't even want to say 9 to 10. I think 9 is overly conservative. I think that would still just 10. Those who are new might be like, oh, this idiot. Those who have watched the channel know, no, he's probably right. He's been doing this for a long fucking time. Okay. Southern Islands Mew English. I can't tell you how much I regret not going absolutely balls deep on these cards when I was a kid. These cards came out 2001. I had fucking, you know, bits of money here to buy these cards from people, and I thought they were really cool because I had noticed right away that there were other Pokemon in the background, and then I also noticed I had quite a few Southern Islands as a kid. I noticed that they completed a picture. It's a shame we never got a Southern Islands Charizard since he's on these, and nearly every Southern Islands card includes the Pokemon on the Southern Islands. So I bet you there was probably a project to have a Southern Islands Charizard. Definitely would have been cool. So far, the front is super clean. Just getting this card front-wise like this is super hard. This card has really gone up in value. Got a really good swirl going on, Galaxy Swirl. So far, front's good. Let's hope the back is also good. The back is super good. Oh, buddy. It won't 10 because of the whitening right here. It's enough whitening to prevent it from 10ing. Honestly, I could see that 9ing. I really could. Really could. Hold on, I got the penny sleeve too far down. I think when I was a kid, one, of course, what blew me away was the holo was all over the card. Two, it didn't have a rarity symbol. That also blew me away. It was this little tree and all that. The art had multiple Pokemon, super huge deal. But, this is my but, I was really into playing the game. So a 30 HP card was simply just a collector's piece. And as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, I still did like collecting Pokemon, but I wanted Pokemon that like won the game and stuff. And this card just was not it. It definitely be a quick play card because you only need one energy. It was weird. I never noticed this till now, but it's a psychic, and its weakness is psychic. I do think that's super rare. I have to look more into that. And then also it has no retreat cost, which I think is super rare. I remember nearly every card having a retreat cost. So I guess benefit, negative, positive, negative. And, you know, as it should, every card should have, you know, balances. So maybe this card was playable, but as a kid, all I saw was a 30 HP, basically no attack damage. I knew that effects and things like that were useful, but I never noticed actually that the weakness of the card was the card itself. Very interesting. I really, 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 really regret not absolutely dominating the Southern Islands market when I was younger, because that would have been a phenomenal return on investment. Up next is another Mew, another promo Mew. I say another promo Mew. It's another Mew that's a promo. I guess technically Ancient Mew is a promo. Nothing spectacular about the holo. The front is good though. It's got some edge stuff. Not stuff that I would really gripe about. Whew. It's hard because I see this here. This is where I get weird, and I haven't done this in a while. Honestly, I'm being very lenient. I think really it's probably a 9. I could see it getting an 8, and I could see it also getting a 10. And I personally wouldn't give it a 10. This is just the criteria built on what I have seen with what I have sent in. And I think it could. Okay, now I will finish this highball. I don't need more. That was fantastic. These are funny to me because it doesn't seem like there's a massive following on this set. I think this is super cool. It definitely seems very kind of like a tribute-ish to Magic the Gathering. And people don't seem to take to it. And that's okay. It's nice having cards that aren't too pricey. Centering's not perfect, but it's also definitely not bad by any means. Did that come off? Oh, that came off. Just the smallest bit of whitening, but it's only on, like, when I tilt it to where you can kind of see the inside edge and that ittiest bittiest of dot. I don't want to say 9 to 10. I don't want to say 10. If I had to do something, this is the first time I've ever done this, I would say 10 minus. That's the first time I've ever written it down on the show. And it's just so insanely close that I really needed something to annotate how close it is in terms of it could 10, it could 9. I mean, that one is just, in my opinion, right on the absolute border. Up next is Latias. One of the issues, and I'm just really lazy, I probably should have done Latias first in terms of sequentiality, because Latias is 107 and Latias is 108, so it really throws off the Latias numbers. Centering left to right is fine. Oh, hold on. That sucks, man. That is actually a dent. And that's really upsetting because I had taken the time to look at this card at a show nearly a year ago, and clearly I did not look at it hard enough. Let me see something. And these have been killing me because I have this happen quite a bit. Oh, that's atrocious. I am about to really start taking my sweet ass time for every card deal I do. Because here's how I probably looked at it. I probably looked at it just like this. There wasn't strong, super strong lighting. There was enough lighting to look at it, and this is probably how I saw it. See how we don't see that dent at all? And it's not that I aimed it like that. I probably looked at it just like this. In fact, I probably may even held it like this, which may not have helped. So I guess when you're looking at cards, make sure you're moving your fingers as you look at it. But I don't think that's the case. I probably would have felt it. I think I probably just didn't have nearly as strong lighting. Okay, this is super difficult because I know, and I talked about this on a previous episode where I had to deal with the same exact thing, but this one is like super defined. And so the issue is I know PSA, basically this card is already a 5 just from that, which I think is silly because I don't think that's nearly as atrocious as any form of whitening, which this front has none. The centering isn't perfect, but it's not terrible. Left to right was good. Top to bottom was the only issue. And now all we have is just this fucking dent that it's so crisp and clean. Like this is a pen dent, which I don't know why people are doing this. And it doesn't go through both sides. This is one painful to grade because this looks like this would have 10'd even a little bit better than the Latios. Now I'm not sure. I have zero fucking clue. I am so tired of having to guess these. You guys can play guess the grades on that one. Here's what I'm going to do, probably for, again, the first time on this show. So 2 first back-to-back with near identical cards in terms of it being Latios and Latias. I'm going to put a question mark. I'm so tired of it. Because of how many times it happens. Which now, I'm afraid with these next 2 cards. Because I already know what they are. They're not from the same seller. But they're from the same show. And again, I bought these cards raw, and it was from someone who knows about grading. And sometimes people don't bother grading because they don't want to go through the hassle and they just want to have liquidity. That is an understandable reason. Sometimes people don't do grading because they know the card has a pendant. Centering looks pretty good. Card looks pretty clean on the front. Honestly, could CGC Black Label, which the Black Label with this coloration card would look superb. I prefer it in that, BGS, or tag. The PSA label on top of this would just look atrocious. So one of my, I might PC this, specifically this, with the other two, the Giratina and the Arceus. I only have these two raw. I am kind of nervous about buying the other two raw. And I also don't want to pay the flat out 10 prices either for them. I would really love if I had these cards either in BGS Black Label, Tag Pristine 10s, or CGC Black Labels. Now here's the part that sucks. PSA, probably PSA 10. CGC, probably CGC 10. I don't think this would CGC Pristine because even I can tell that the centering left to right is off by a good bit. Top to bottom straight, left to right, enough for me to notice. And if it's enough for me to notice, that's no bueno. The back is fantastic. Left to right front. Oof. That is close. And I think I'm going to write it just with hopes. And I know I told y'all I grade conservatively, but also I think it's good to be hopeful. And I'm hoping, I'm really hoping that the CGC grader goes, damn, these would be dope as hell with CGC Black Labels on this, my guy. I wish I had all four as clean as that, and I wish I had bought more, for sure. Here's a card that I feel like is gaining some popularity. Not a ton. I'm not super impressed with it. It's nice, this different colored border for sure. The Pokemon itself is what I'm not impressed with. This card on the front, not bad. Centering's pretty good. Corner's a little cut funny. 10 flat category. Now, here's the issue. We've got some dirt. Sorry, give me a second. Let me see if that wants to come off. Kinda. Need to put a baby wipe on that bad. Nope, sweet. Came off with just a good little thumb rub. It's not perfect, but I feel like that's a 9. It's a 9. If I didn't get rid of the smudge, it would have been an 8 to 9. After getting rid of the smudge, I'd say 9. And it's unfortunate because the front's pretty clean. This card, in my opinion, has I've had a few come through my hands, and I will say it definitely seems like it is hard to get a clean front on that card. A 9 as a whole on that card isn't the end of the world. A 10, I think it's one of those cards that jumps drastically in value compared to its 9 counterpart, but 9's not that bad. Rocket Sneak Attack. Ooh, got a good swirl right there. The borders are thick, but they are nearly equal. Top to bottom's only slightly different. So, front's clean. And back is pretty clean. I'm not super strong in saying this would 10, but I think this would 10. So, I'm gonna guess 10. I could see it 90, but I think that card should 10, to be honest. And it's kind of weird. I think it's one of those cards. I mean, it of course gains value being a 10 over a 9, but I think what's funny is one of those few cards that I don't think, like, it doesn't really skyrocket being a 10, but, you know, it's more than a 9. I feel like they should have done more with this Regirock. I think if you're gonna go this far with the art, you know, ditch the border for one. Centering left to right, top to bottom, all around, not great. I think we're already sitting in the 9 category just based on the front. Some scratches, hollows, meh at best, to be honest. Really just not an impressive card. Minor scratches, all of that. I think just a flat 9 is good enough. I could see it getting an 8. I don't think this card would 10. An 8's not super out of the world for it. It's, you know, and maybe just so we're still staying on literature, I will say 8 to 9. But honestly, this card, if it had been holographic back in the day, that would have been dope. So Shadowless Electrode. Front's pretty clean. Minor uplift. Very minor. Some whitening. I'll say 8 to 9. I am more seated on the 9 side. But again, this card, it's not very popular. It's not first edition. It's not holographic. But still, to me, this is a super cool card. 8 to 9. Still has some value for sure. Because there isn't a holographic in this card. I think it came out with XY. I think they at least did a reverse holo. I don't know if they even did a main holo. Definitely a super cool card to have made a holo of if they did it. Just with all the colors they put on this card for whatever reason. Very psychedelic. But yeah, 8 to 9. I think this is from my PC. It's hard to tell. Things have gotten mixed up. I hope you played Guess the Grades. I hope you've been seeing some of my other videos that have come out in terms of other information, in terms of the card grading space. Especially also with, I just recently dropped a short not too long ago on fake PSA slabs from eBay. They're not specifically from eBay, the company, but, you know, sold on eBay. But yeah, it's still got quite a few cards. And this still isn't all of them. It's still not all of them. But these are stacks of 20 of cards that we intend to send to CGC. Not all these cards on the table are, you know, should be graded. That's for sure. Not all of them. But we're going through them. We're sorting them out. And building these piles from it. And then, of course, as you can see, we've got piles over there. And we've got other things on our other tables and our special binders. And it's all a process. I'm trying to speed through it. Work is killing me. I don't know when I'm even gonna find time to fly these into CGC, but I'm excited for it. I gotta get it done. And either you'll run into me via Facebook Marketplace at a show, or maybe you'll buy off me via eBay. But I'd really prefer if we did it in person and play guess the grades and keep looking out to see what we have left. And also make a comment on which pile we should do next. Thanks for watching.